Hello everybody. Trying out a different camera position today, and that is because I wanted to show you at least the calibers that I own up close and personal. That way, well, to be honest, a lot of my subscribers and people watching my videos are not from the United States, and I wanted to try to show you up close and personal to compare the different round sizes. Hopefully this angle works pretty well, but we'll see. I'm going to start off with handgun. I have shotgun and then rifle, and we'll just I'll try to lay them out here for size comparisons. Just because when I make the videos that I make, and I try to, so like the instance that brought this video to fruition was an AR-15 uses the same lower size, but you can change out the upper size, like what kind of caliber barrel you want. So while the lower remains the same, you can have 5.56, 300 blackout, and then the one I have is 50 Beowulf. And while the guns themselves look, identical, they're both 16-inch barrels, my 5.56 and my 50 Beowulf, they shoot entirely different rounds, and I don't feel like that gets conveyed well when I just hold up, the rifles. So I'm going to be showing you up close and personal the rounds. And I'll even show you the containers. What the heck. This is what I use. We're going to start off with the 22 LR. This is, it's the smallest caliber that I own. They do get even smaller than this. Typically you'll find them in capacities, like this is 500 cartridges. I'm also not going to try to be ridiculously loud, but I'm sure rummaging through ammo, not too bad. Alright, so we're going to start off. And again, you can kind of use I have small hands. You can kind of use my hands as comparison, but this is a 22 LR. Typically, this is just like a plinking round. It is rim-fired, for those that don't know. So it actually hits the rim of this cartridge to fire it. Most calibers, in which I'll show you, have a little primer in the middle that fires the round, but there's that. To be honest, I don't know if they'll try to slide or not, but that's, it does get smaller. There's like 22 short. I'd love to own one, but it's another gun, another caliber. And, the reason this video, I have no idea how long this will take me, but the reason I have enough calibers to make a video is, in my perfect world where money didn't exist, I would love to own one gun of every caliber out there. That's like my ultimate dream. And the nice thing is, people add new calibers every day, they make new ones, so the nice thing is it's a fun dream to pursue, but for the time being, I can, and then I want to get like different, so like a 22 short, like I don't just want another, handgun that looks just like every other handgun. I want like a unique gun for that caliber. So Next up, I have some 380. We're sticking with the handgun rounds for a little while here. And again, I do shoot my guns, so that's why these aren't all perfectly full. But here's the 380. I'll put it next to the 22 in a minute here. But it is, see, that's center fired for those unaware. It's that center primer. It's essentially one of the other names for it is a 9 short. So it's essentially a 9mm bullet in a smaller casing. Or I'm sorry. I could have that back. It might be a 9mm. I'll bring the 9mm out in a second. Yeah, I think it's actually, no, I take that back. I think it's actually a 9mm casing and then a smaller bullet. But regardless, assuming they don't try to roll on me. Next up, this is arguably one of the most common handgun calibers, 9mm. I'll put the 380 next to it for comparison. No, so the case is actually a little shorter. Yes, what it is if you look at these two, they're both the same diameter bullet. Just obviously one's a little smaller. But this is the most common handgun round out there. And then, so again, it's small enough that you can have high capacity in your magazines. Like obviously when I start to get up into like the bigger calibers, you know, you're only going to be able to, so like 45 is the example, which I'll get to in a minute. 45, you can really only have like 7-8 rounds in your gun, whereas 9mm in the same sized gun, you could have 15 to 17 rounds. Next up, I don't have much of this left. This is still 9mm, but I wanted to, for those unaware, this is a full metal jacket, and it literally is what it, the bullet or the jacket is full. I guess that's the best way I could describe it. This is, now legally speaking, this is not a hollow point. This is critical defense, but it acts similar to a hollow point because when it hits these little ripples here, the red piece being there, if you removed that, it would be a hollow point, and these I guess the edge of the jacket here would expand outwards and kind of open the bullet up. Typically, because this has more penetrating power, this is used for just like target shooting, whereas something like this is used for self-defense. Might not have been the best table, but I'll make it work. Alrighty. Well, most of my crazy calibers are rifle sizes. I have a lot of just common handgun size rounds. Next up, this is a big, chunky 45 ACP. Bring out the 9mm for comparison. So it's a much bigger case, and then the bullet itself is a lot fatter. So again, and not necessarily in all cases, but typically when you have a bigger bullet, it's going to have less velocity going out of the gun because it's heavier. But again, you do have a bigger bullet, so you technically have a higher chance of hitting your target, or yeah. So bigger, heavier round, but again, like I said earlier, you lose out on capacity because again, look how you can fit a lot more of those in a magazine versus those. Alright, now for my handgun rounds, I'm going to get weird on you. This is 7.62 Nagant, also known as, I don't know if it says it on the box, 7.62 by 38R. So this round is an extremely weird one, and this belongs to I have a World War II Nagant revolver used by the Russians, and this is the caliber it shoots. I think it actually said, it just says 7.62 Nagant, but you'll notice I'll bring out other rounds that are 7.62, and it's just a very common round over in like Europe, Russia, those sort of areas. But the weird thing with this is the bullet is in the case, and the way the gun works is when you cock it back, it will actually move the cylinder forward and will push the bullet out of the case into the cylinder. Very weird. I don't know any other gun that does it this way, but there's that. This is a pretty exotic round. I don't know any other gun that uses it, but hey. I'm just gonna, I think the bullets will start sliding. Well, the other problem is when I start getting into revolver or rifle rounds, they get a lot bigger than that. Next up, I have one of my favorite rounds, which is 50 Action Express. Oh, and again, if you don't know, 380, 9mm, those are commonly used in like Glock is one of the biggest names, Sig Sauer, just your common handguns, whereas 45 is predominantly used on like the 1911 platform. So next up, if my bullets don't roll, this is 50 Action Express. So we are now in the realm of 50 caliber handguns. It is a very large round. I can kind of show you next to a 45. Well, my bullets they're gonna go everywhere. This is it compared to a 9mm. This, other guns do use it, but in my instance, this is used in the Desert Eagle. Very fun round to shoot. The problem is when you start getting into this kind of territory, this little bad boy right here costs $2. So for a box of 20 in today's market, this is like $40 right here. So while it is a very fun gun to shoot, it is not a cheap gun to shoot. I'll just let them roll. So maybe I'm experimenting with this camera angle here. Alright, next up, I have a few of these. This is Big Game 500 Smith & Wesson. This is 275 grain. Try not to be too loud when I open these boxes. And this is as big as my handguns go. They do, believe it or not, make bigger, but this is the 500, and it is only a 275 grain. This is a hollow point because there isn't, it's hollow. Again, I'll compare it to just the 9mm for a second and show you just the sheer size difference of these rounds. I'm going to stay on 500 just to show you a couple different iterations of it. This is a 300 grain, so the grain is the weight of the bullet. This is again more of a hunting round, but we do have a little bit bigger of a, or heavier of a bullet on the tip. This is nice. This is nice Hornady ammo. I did get this when it was cheaper, but in today's market, you're looking at $5 right here. Yeah. It's a, guns are fun, but they definitely tend to be a more expensive hobby. Next up, this is as big as I have, which is 440 grains. Probably should have just opened it from the other side. And here, so it is a much heavier, I think it's lead, bullet. So again, we got some more weight to us. Now, typically, and in this case it does, more weight equals more recoil. And they do make, I want to get my hands on one, but at the same time I don't. They make, the bullet goes out like this far, and it's 700 grains. So it's almost double this. I bet you that absolutely destroys your hand. So I'm going to move into, this is 410. This is a shotgun round. However, I also have it for my Judge, which is a handgun, a revolver. So it can be used in both. And this is it actually shows you on here. So this is actually if you could see it there, it's got a 41 caliber slug on the tip and then two 35 caliber balls in it. This is technically meant for self-defense ammo. But let me tell you, this little thing out of a Judge, a little handgun, it rocks you. There we have that. And fresh box here. some people actually haven't seen, this is a 12 gauge. I'd love to get my hands on a 10 gauge, but that's another story. These are just full of, I think this is bird shot. I mainly use this for dove hunting. So it's just filled with little tiny pellets, and when you shoot it, the crimping gets undone and goes everywhere. So just for those who haven't seen a 12 gauge round, there you have it. Alrighty, so so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out my rifle rounds, kind of set them up, and then I'll show you those in just a second. Alrighty, so we are now into rifle rounds, and let's see if I can get one out for you. Well, I have this one in a rifle, but it can be used in handguns, and that is 5.7. When I think of 5.7, I think of a P90, but this is a blue tip, so I think it's got a little more velocity, but it is a very lightweight round that goes very fast. And you can even see, like if I put it next to about the length of a 45, but it's a really small round. I'll slowly push it over as we go. Alright, and again, I have a lot of weird rifle rounds, so you probably won't see. So this next one is 222. It is not, typically you think of 223, which is essentially a 5.56. This is totally different. If I can get in here. So this is a 222. Typically this is a bolt action, like a varmint round, which actually on the box it says varmint, but now, what the heck, I'll just bring it out. This, next to it, is a 5.56. There we go. Very similar in size, like the size of the bullet, but 5.56 is a little bigger. And while I got you here, I do have, well, the tip's kind of fading, but it is green tip, so it's got a little heavier of a bullet, so even more velocity. But again, typically your 5.56 is used in like just a standard AR-15 platform, whereas like I said, your 222 is used in like bolt action. Next up, if the packaging will want to cooperate, this is a 5.45 by 39. This is typically used in AK-74s. It is actually a very fun round to shoot, and it is, I'll try to just put it next to, it's actually, I think it might be identical in length to a 5.56, but it is a long, skinny bullet, and it actually makes for some really light recoil, fun shooting. The problem is, I don't believe there's anyone in America that makes 5.45 ammo, and I think within the last year, They just banned the importation of Russian ammo. So what I have in 5.45 might be all the 5.45 I'll ever get. While I'm here talking about the AK-74, might as well talk about the tried and true AK-47. This is 7.62 by 39. It is a, let's set it down. It is a much thicker bullet. But it might be this. No, I think it's a little shorter, but about the same length as like a 5.56. So a lot of the times, one of the debates you get when it comes to like AR versus AK. So AR has a smaller bullet that's typically traveling a little faster, but AK has a bigger, heavier bullet, so it's going to have a bigger impact. And actually, I'll hold off on that thought in just a moment. Because next up here, I have 300 Blackout. Now, one of the things is 300 Blackout is just a common name for it. But if you actually want to get into the specifics of the bullet, it is 7.62 by 35. And you'll actually notice that this is 7.62 by 39, the AK. And it's 7.62, so both their bullets are identical in diameter. However, one's a little longer. Might be hard to see, but the bottoms are. The 39 is just ever so longer than the 35. 300 Blackout is typically used in suppressed weapons because you can buy subsonic ammo, so that way it's not breaking the sound barrier, and then when you suppress it, it just makes it ever so much quieter. Next up on my list here is, it's definitely a different round. This is, lo and behold, the 50 Beowulf. And one of the things, I'll show you now, I guess, like here's the 50 Action Express. And the 50 because of the diameter. So they are both the same diameter bullet. Just one's obviously a little longer. Get that back in there. This is shot out of the same platform as the AR-15. So they actually can share the same magazine, but the 5.56 can hold 30 rounds, where this can only hold 9 or 10. It's definitely out of an AR-15 platform weapon. This definitely packs a punch, and it rocks your shoulder a little bit. But it is definitely a big, heavy, fat bullet. So next up is actually technically two different rounds, but at the same time it's not. So this is a 7.62 by 51, and this is a 308. Now, like I said before, with the 300 Blackout, I don't know if there's a technical term for it or not, but calling this 308 is just a common name for it. But if you actually look up the dimensions of this bullet, it is 7.62 by 51. And really the only difference is the 51 has a more pointed tip, whereas the 308 will have a softer tip. And that's typically, 51 is used for like target practice, whereas 308 has a soft tip for hunting. And if you have a 308 gun, you can shoot 51 out of it, no problem. So like I said, they technically are two different cartridges, but at the same time they're not. So there's that. Alrighty, next up, this is 6.5 Creedmoor. I mean, it's comparable to the 308. I'll just kind of set it next to it. It's about the same length of the cartridge. This is just a very long, thin bullet with a much bigger case here, so it has more powder in it. It's another hunting round if you want to try to like stretch out your shots. But the problem with all of these rounds is they're like, you start off down here where it's kind of more towards $1, and now we've moved on into like the $2 range. And as we keep going, these rounds just become more and more expensive the bigger they get. So just shooting them, they're guns I take out like once a year just because it hurts the bank to shoot. Next up, this is 7.62 by 54 R, and the R comes from this rimmed cartridge. There's a little rim there, but it is still 7.62, just like your 39 and your 35 down there. But we are now up to 54, so it is much longer. See if I can scoot these over some. Sort of. So it is a much longer bullet. Well, I didn't mention it before. The 308, both of these can be shot out of the AR-10 platform or a bolt-action 6.5 Creedmoor. My case is a bolt-action hunting rifle, and this is either shot out of like a Mosin Nagant. In my case, I have a Romanian Dragunov that shoots this. Typically you get like Russian, Romanian kind of guns that shoot that big boy. Continuing to move up, this is a 303 British. It also has a little rimmed cartridge, and it is a soft tip as well. This round I use for I have a World War I Lee Enfield rifle that shoots this, and it's a bolt action, so this bad boy rocks you a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But we have actually this 54R is a little bigger. But we just have a very big round. And again, the 54R in my case is out of a semi-auto Dragunov. So you can rapid fire this guy. Ready. Next up. This is a 7mm Mauser, and again, these are the rounds that I have. this is not a really common round. Again, when I think of this, I think, because I think it says in the box, you think of larger guns that would shoot something like that. My problem was I bought a rifle that was chambered in 7mm. It was a 1916 Spanish Mauser, and the problem was my gun shop local has been very backed up recently, so he didn't have a chance to really inspect it. So he said, hey, look, I can sell this to you, but there's no guarantee that it is gonna fire, that it's good. So you either wait for me to get less work, or I have FFLs that I know of that are gunsmiths that are good family friends. And I wanted to take it down to him to get it looked at, and he was the exact same way. He was a full, about a year's worth of work behind. So of course the cat decides to come in now. I decided to just sell the gun back to the gun shop because, again, it's been sitting for a year and it will not, it hasn't been looked at, hasn't had a chance to be looked at, so I just decided to say, So I still have a box of ammo for it, but, you know. Now, next up, I need some calibers in between this, because I feel like this just doesn't add up well. Next up, I do a little shake around you. Is the 50 BMG. It just absolutely dwarfs all other rounds here. I need some calibers in between here. I really do. They make calibers in between it, but I need it. That right there is just Full Metal Jacket. It is 660 grain. This is my most expensive ammo at $8 a round. This is Hornady 750 grain. And trying to be quiet with this is a little difficult. And this is the Beauty that is $8 a round. Can I help you, good sir? Apologize, the cat is right under me trying to join the video. This is what $8 a round looks like. It is a very big 750 grain bullet. And what I wanted to show you earlier, which I'll compare, this is the 50 Action Express and 50 BMG. So what's 50 about both of these? And if you actually look, the diameter of the bullets is both half an inch or 0.50, so 50. So they're both actually the same diameter. One is just extremely longer than the other. Let me try that. Yeah, massive round, absolute blast to shoot. Yeah, I definitely need some calibers like in between there. Like, this is a nice progression up until we get there. So that'll do it for this video. This is all the calibers I currently own, or at least ammo for. But nonetheless, the collection always expands, and I need to either buy ammo for some more guns, buy some new guns, whatever. definitely try to get in that range right there. So I hope you all enjoyed this different style video. If you did, let me know. If you have any suggestions for videos, let me know. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.